You're just obsessed with understanding how the lock works. Now look, understanding how a lock works is totally unnecessary. What's going on, guys? This is Drew with Sobriety Daily, and today we are talking about freedom that's got to be found. Hey, if you're enjoying this channel, please hit the subscribe button, and if you like this video, please hit the like button. It makes a huge difference for this channel. I'm showing up here doing this deal. I'm just gonna ask that you show up and hit the like button or subscribe or whatever it is that you're doing, leave a comment. All right, so just let's get into freedom. Because freedom is a critical point when we talk about sobriety, because when you say, I wanna be sober, you kind of have to have a reason to be sober. Like, just wanting to be sober is typically not a good enough reason. So I want to talk about keys and locks, I guess. So a key is interesting because for a few reasons. First of all, it's got to be found or located or sought. And it has to be found, located, or sought separate from the lock, right? Then it's got to be used. Now, here's the interesting thing that I think a lot of people actually wind up at. A lot of people really want to know how the lock works. Like, how does the lock work? I've got to know. Like I can't get sober. I'm totally addicted, and I just want to know how addiction works, and I want to understand the science of addiction, and I want to understand the metaphysical, psychological. I want to really get into the data, and I want to just know, how does addiction work? You're just obsessed with understanding how the lock works. Now look, understanding how a lock works is totally unnecessary. Just like understanding the friction of how a knot is held together with a shoelace is totally unnecessary. I don't have to teach my 5-year-old the friction. Hey, here's like gravitational force that way, and wait, son, you can't do physics? Then you definitely can't tie your shoes. Like, understanding how your shoelaces are held together or understanding how a lock works has nothing to do with with using a lock, or with using a key, or with tying your shoes for that matter. So the path to freedom is in a lot of ways is very much the same. Like, you just have to grab the key and use it in the lock, and that's it. So the reason, now, okay, so if it's that simple, why don't most people do it? Okay, I think that there's an inherent understanding that if you use this key in this lock and you turn it and you become free, you are then obligated to do what somebody who is free does. And most people who are still struggling in their addiction have no idea what free people do. It's like this hilarious thing that you first get sober and you're like, I'm sober! Hey, what do I do with these extra 7 hours a day? And it's just a weird thing we all kind of go through. It's like you just have hours and hours and hours of all this free time. And eventually, if you don't have a plan for what to do with that time, your freedom doesn't wind up actually meaning a whole lot. So freedom exists to get you to the next indicated thing. And then you have to do the next indicated thing, and then you keep getting the next indicated thing. Now, eventually, what happens a lot of times is that people stop doing the next indicated aspect of their sobriety, and they sit still. And as soon as you get afraid, whether you get afraid to say to somebody, hey, I'm happy to sponsor you, or you get afraid to tell your boss that you got sober, or you get afraid, as soon as that fear sets in, you put the lock right back on again. Because fear is really the lock, right? And love and service, right? Love is the key and service is turning the key. I think that's a pretty solid analogy. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. Okay, so there you have it, fear, love, and service. Now, one of the funny things about sobriety is that only you know what it means to be free. Only you know what you are supposed to do with the freedom that you've been given by being relieved from fear, being relieved from the obsession to drink. So there you go, everybody. I want to just relieve you of the burden of having to understand how your lock of addiction works. You don't need to understand it, totally unnecessary. All that you have to understand is that Love is the key, and service is turning that key. And if you give into fear, you put the lock right back on again. I mean, that's really it. And so I hope that this video has been a benefit to your sobriety. If it has, please give it a like down below. Thank you so much for showing up to watch these videos. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you again in the next video real soon. You take care. Bye now.